The aides de camp march past the receiving party of the Speaker of the National Assembly and the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, and their positions we will see very soon behind the sergeant at arms, where they will usher in the black rod. We see now the Speaker of the National Assembly, Thandi Modise, leading the President, and right behind the President is the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, and they are about to light the candles in honor of all victims or those who have lost their lives to COVID-19.
There is a flood inside our house. The water climbs the walls when we weep. It does not let us breathe. Everything is wet with grief. Before this pandemic, we would cast a funeral song into the dark like a flare, and the neighbors would come strengthen our arms as we drove the water out the door. Before grief reached our ankles, before it swept us to our knees, before it flowed into the pots and our beds. To mourn meant a community gathered like a bank between you and the river of death. Now death has dampened this ritual. We mourn alone. The neighbors lift their own arms to relieve the water in their lungs. We are all drowning. This flood has reached into the inner rooms and quenched lives young and old. It has taken what we are not ready to lose. It spits the lives and stories of the living into the street as injured furniture. Like the pensioner, in line for a social grant, whose life makes no space to protest at the beach, still she returns home clothes soaked. Or the man who dies for a beer in his own backyard. The nurse who ties a tattered mask together with prayer and is still unprotected. Or the artist who contemplates whether to eat her own words to ease the hunger, and art starves. This flood ruins all of us. So what of the after? When the depth of this moment is absorbed by history, who will we be? We are a people that know how to rebuild from the remnants of disaster, and we will do it again and again. When we salvage for what is usable, may we find ourselves baptized into something new, with new ways of mourning, and reciting the names of those we have lost, and memories that never sink.
There is South Africans, the national anthem. Something completely different this time around. You'd remember that when that national anthem plays, it's often accompanied by the 21 gun salute. And today, we've seen none of that. As you're looking at your screen, you see that the president is ready to walk into the National Assembly and should be led by the aide-de-camp and followed by the Speaker of the National Assembly.
And as soon as the Speaker goes in, and the mace will be carried in to the assembly, then we will be all ready and all set for the president to deliver the State of the Nation. As you can see,
even in the beginning, this is an opportunity.
I would also like to acknowledge the attendance of the premiers who have joined us in the chamber as well as virtually, and the speakers and their delegates who have also connected via the virtual platform. I welcome all of you. Honorable members, for those of us who are in the chamber, we request in the interest of safety that you keep to your allocated seats and that you keep your masks on. Honorable members, the President has called this joint sitting of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces in terms of Section 84(2)(d) of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, read with Joint Rule 7(1)(a), in order to deliver his State of the Nation address to Parliament. I now call on the Honorable the President to address the joint sitting. Mr. President, sir. Yeah.
Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Thandi Modise, Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Mr. Amos Masondo, Deputy President of the Republic, David Dabete Mabuza, former President Thabo Mbeki and Mrs. Mbeki, former Deputy President Phumzile Mlambo Ngcuka, former Deputy President Baleka Mbete, Chief Justice Mogoeng and Deputy Chief Justice Zondo, and all esteemed members of the judiciary, ministers and deputy ministers, premiers, of our provinces, members of the National Assembly, speakers from the various legislatures, members of the National Council of Provinces, the Dean of the European Union region representing the diplomatic corps, distinguished guests and members and fellow South Africans. On this day, 31 years ago, President Nelson Mandela walked out of the gates of Victor Verster prison, a free person, a living embodiment of the resilience and courage of the people of South Africa. His release signaled great hope of better things to come. It actually signaled that the freedom of the people of South Africa was nigh. For nearly 40 million years, an extraordinary ecosystem has existed here at the southernmost tip of our continent. The fynbos, which stretches across the Cape, has among the most distinctive features of any plants that are found on our earth. It can adapt to dry and hot summers and cold and rainy winters. It is wondrous in its diversity. Our national flower, the protea, is a species of the fynbos. When I opened the 3rd National Investment Conference last year, I spoke of the protea's unique properties that in so many ways resembles our national character as South Africans. What is most unique and special about the fynbos that we find plentiful here in the Western Cape is that to be sustainable and to survive, the fynbos needs fire. At least once every 20 years, the fynbos must burn at extremely high temperatures to allow the ecosystem to be rejuvenated and to grow afresh. Throughout the summer, the burnt foliage of the fynbos lies desolate, but when the autumn rains return, the seeds explode and germinate, and its life cycle begins all over again. And it displays the splendor and the beauty that we often see when we look at the beautiful sights of the Western Cape. The mountains bloom with new life as plants which once seemed lost and dead grow back even stronger than ever before. We, the people of South Africa, have over the past year experienced a terrible tragedy and hardship. Like a wildfire that sweeps across the mountains and the mountainous ranges of our country, where the fynbos grows, a deadly pandemic has swept across the world, leaving devastation in its path. And yet, like the